Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Caregiver Talk. Our Caregiver Talks are sponsored by AARP Kansas City, and we are so grateful for their ongoing support. And we're grateful that you're here, whether you're tuning in live or catching the replay. I'm Rachel, and I'll be your host today. I'm the founder of Sandwich KC. We are a 501c3 nonprofit helping family caregivers across the Kansas City metro by providing free information and referral, support groups, education, and self-care activities. We were founded in 2018 and we've been supporting family caregivers around town ever since. Our mission is to create opportunities for family caregivers to find local support and shared wisdom. You can visit us online at Sandwich KC to find out more about how we support family caregivers. I'm so glad that you've taken time out of your busy caregiving day to be here. We know that caregiving is full of challenges, and one of the biggest worries is what if my loved one falls? Today, we're going to talk through why falls happen and, most importantly, what we can do to help prevent them. We'll be joined by Amy Vance. Amy has spent over a decade working with older adults, teaching a variety of programs across the Northland. In 2024, she opened Active Aging Wellness, a new senior center in Platte City to meet a need and centralize her programs. Along with her work with older adults, Amy is a dietetic technician, registered, and she uses her nutrition background to teach hands-on cooking classes. Besides nutrition, Amy teaches a variety of group fitness classes, including yoga and Tai Chi. She believes in living a balanced life through healthy choices. Hi, Amy. How are you today?
I am wonderful.
Well, we're so grateful that you're here. I know that you know very much about this topic and you're very involved in the fall prevention movement here in the metro. So we're glad to have you. So, before we get into the conversation, let's start with the big picture. Falls are actually the leading cause of injury for older adults. About 1 in 4 adults over 65 will fall each year. And it's not just the physical injury, it's also the emotional toll. Many older adults become afraid of falling again, which can lead to less movement and less independence. And for us caregivers, that can mean a lot of extra stress and worry. But here's the good news. This is what we're going to talk about. Most falls can be prevented with small changes, and that's what today is all about. So, Amy, let's talk about what actually causes falls, like especially around the home. What do you see most often?
For falls for older adults, some other little statistics. So most people have an accident or fall within a half mile of their home. And part of the reason is because when we're at home, we're really comfortable. We think we know where everything is, and a lot of the stuff has been there forever. For instance, our throw rugs. Throw rugs are a major fall hazard as we age, especially if the throw rugs have been aging with us. A lot of times there's a little lip, or maybe they don't stay flat on the ground. So we end up tripping or falling over our rugs a lot. Other things around the home that cause falls are cords. If you are like my family over the last decade, we've gotten more and more cords to everything, and we have a tendency to plug a bunch of them in. And again, we're at home all the time, so we may not realize that these cords are all over the floor and they can cause a fall hazard.
That is so true. I also, with my grandma, um, having lots of clutter around, was a huge issue with us, and also lighting was a big deal. Like especially as we age, our vision is not that great. And if we can't see very well and our houses are dark, I think that adds to the mix, honestly.
It
Oh,
does.
and one other thing that used to drive me crazy was my grandma had this computer chair that she would sit in. It was right by the door, so she could get up and go. But of course, computer chairs are not stable. They are not sturdy. They have wheels and they move. And so, a lot of times she would struggle to get up and ultimately, she will fall. Um, So I think furniture's a big factor as well.
It is. And also, when you move furniture to clean, if you don't put the furniture back, sometimes your care partner could actually trip over it because they're so used to where it is that they may
Mhm.
not realize even that small half an inch can cause a fall where they're tripping over or just stubbing their foot maybe on a coffee table. A lot of people forget those small changes can have a large impact. So if you notice that your loved one is tripping in the same area, I would get down as low as you can and kind of look around and see what might be causing those falls.
Hmm. That's great advice. Um, well, that's awesome. I think there's a lot we could do around the house to prevent falls. Um, what about, let's talk about our people in particular. What strategies can we use when it comes to our loved ones to help them prevent falls?
Things you want to do every year is you want to make sure you're getting your vision checked so that you can actually see the things that are in front of you. Right, like Rachel said, making sure that you turn the lights on so that you can see everything. You could even put down tape on your steps if it's hard for you to see the difference between the steps. Sometimes people trip at the bottom of their steps just because they can't see that last step. So just putting tape down there. We also want to make sure we're getting our hearing checked. People forget about hearing, but if your equilibrium is off, it's going to cause you to fall. You also want to check with your pharmacist to make sure that you're not taking 5 or 6 medicines that are putting you at risk at falls. If you are, you might talk to your doctor about changing a couple of those if you can. Or you might take more caution if you know that that risk factor is there with the medicine. And then another one that you can do at home, and you can do this every day, is exercise. So exercise our legs, exercise, make sure we have strong ankles and arms and even our hands. So if you're out and about and you see those little squeeze balls, I highly recommend getting them. You can sit on the couch and you can squeeze it, because if you had a fall and you needed to grab onto a grab bar, you want to make sure that you have the hand strength to hold on to the grab bar, or else you're just going to slowly slide down the grab bar till you end up on the ground.
Those are great ideas. I love, especially, the exercise. I know it's so hard to get our loved ones to exercise. I know that I took my grandma a couple times to gentle Pilates at the Palmer Center, and that was super fun. It was in a chair, so she didn't, have nobody was standing up, and it was really low impact. But I think things like that tend to help, and a gal was just telling me the other day that there's a gal on YouTube who's like a former military girl, and she does chair yoga, and it's so easy to get her pops to do chair yoga with this gal um on YouTube. So I think that's a great idea. And then, for me with grandma, we had, she had a lot of trouble getting up out of chairs, so we had a lift recliner. That helped a lot. Keeping things that we knew she would use and need close by was really helpful, because people will, oh, I left my phone in the other room, or she had a walker, and we had a little caddy in there so she could put whatever she wanted in the caddy, so she wasn't going all around the house trying to look for things and putting herself at risk. And in the bedroom, she had a bed rail. It's just something you slip between the mattress of the box springs. And I cannot tell you how many times my grandma like was very grateful for that bed rail, and she would tell me all the time. It was so cute, but she would just be like, "Oh, I'm so happy I have this bed rail. It just makes it so easy for me to get out of bed." And um we also had a box spring, so the bed wasn't quite so high. Because that's another issue, I think, for some people, getting out of bed. But I think those are, there's a lot we can do, both, in their physical environment and with the people to help us prevent falls. Um,
And
Anything
remember
else,
those
Amy?
home I was gonna say the home modifications, usually they enhance the value of your home. So a lot of times people are afraid to put in grab bars or other things, but society's changing and we're getting older, so those are looked at as an asset. So investing in your home, or if you're in a rental, talking to the landlord, or reaching out to Rachel, there's lots of resources that can help you get those home modifications to keep you safe.
Yeah, and I think a lot of I think we think a lot of times they're really expensive, but sometimes we can, do simple switches to make things a little safer. So um that's awesome. Well, so I know we're talking about preventing falls and all these things that we could do, but it really, comes down to a partnership with our loved one, right? We can't
Mhm.
go in and make a bunch of changes or tell them what to do. uh Amy, do you have any advice about how to talk about fall prevention with our loved ones, so that they're not afraid or maybe shameful about getting older and falling? Nobody really wants to talk about that. You got any tips for us?
I do. I actually did this with my own parents. I went into the home and I've had several conversations with them. Like we need to remove the rugs, or it would be nice to move into a level home when my parents were moving. So I had those conversations about looking at the floors, looking at the baths. I've gone to look at homes with both of my parents when they were in that market. And depending if it's your partner or if it's an older adult that you're taking care of, or even a younger adult that you're taking care of, I would talk to them enough that they felt like it was their idea to make these modifications and make these changes. And I could hear them repeating back to me, like, hey, we're going to put these grab bars in. They're going to enhance the value and they're pretty. Or, hey, we moved into an all level apartment because it's really easy for us to move around. So even though you think they're not listening, they are listening. I'll also add another thing too when dealing with a caregiver. If your care partner does fall, just keep in mind that the fire department can come and pick them up, and try not to pick them up yourself. If they can't get themselves off of the floor, call for help. That way you don't fall with them and then there's two of you injured laying on the floor. So for you to be the best caregiver you can be, make sure that you're getting that assistance that you need so that you don't have a fall when they have a fall.
Oh, that is great advice. I can't tell you how many times we're reminding people that they can call the fire department. And even with my own grandma, uh, I think a lot of times people don't want to worry us and they don't want to bother us, especially if they know we're at work or we're busy. My grandma would literally call everybody in her phone but me. So I had to, convince her to get life alert so that she could press her button when she fell, and then they would notify me and I could come help her get off the floor, or let them notify the emergency responders so that they could help. But the well-meaning people who would come to her rescue in the event she didn't call me, I had to let them know the same thing. Like, you are not a trained professional. You're not a physical therapist. You could hurt yourself. You could hurt my grandma. Please don't come over here and pick her up off the floor. If anything, if you get that call, please call me. Like, this is real stuff. It really does happen. And I think I would add, as far as, our loved ones are concerned, definitely coming from a place of love and concern, like you said, with these suggestions, we're making them because we love our people. We don't want them to get hurt. And maybe Chloe got it from like a I statement, like, I'm afraid that you might hurt yourself because this is how it is, or I think we should do this to keep you safe. Because I love you. I don't want anything to happen to you. So um that's a good idea about the department. You'd be surprised how many people don't know that. Um so
And the fire department
well,
may be able to notice a fall too. Like I said, if they were falling continually in the same place, having those fresh eyes on the space, they may be like, oh, maybe we should just remove that coffee table, or these boxes are probably where she's tripping. And as a caregiver, we may not notice it because we're in the space so much, we're not seeing these fall hazards.
It's just like when you're with your loved one every day and like your wife or your husband and you get your hair cut and they don't notice and then the other person's upset, kind of like that, right?
Right.
Uh, what about if you have these suggestions or you talk with your loved one and they're still reluctant to make any changes? Do you have any suggestions about what to do in that situation?
I would just start small. One of the biggest ones that people really struggle with is getting rid of the throw rugs. People are very emotionally attached to rugs for some reason. If it's like in our family, we have some beautiful rugs from my husband's grandmother. They're very slippery, they slide all over. So I've made suggestions that maybe we display one on the wall or display it in a different space where no one's going to walk over it, no one's going to have a fall, but we're still honoring the rug and the history of the family with it.
Oh, that's actually a really good idea. I've never heard of that before, but people have all kinds of stuff on their walls and tapestries and things. So I love that idea. I think also like if a person is hesitant, you can for some reason, and maybe it's because we're so close to the situation, uh, professionals coming in and giving us advice and ideas is a little bit more well received sometimes. Especially when people come home from the hospital, I think you can have an OT walk around and check for those fall hazards. And there are also organizations and professionals that will come in and do that at little to no cost, right, Amy? So sometimes we could call it reinforcements. um is there
It's a
anything
good
else you would
idea.
add?
I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
I
even if
mean,
you tell them it's temporary and hopefully they don't remember about the rugs and you don't ever have to put them back in.
that's true too. We tend to, I think it's easier to forget, once you get used to things. So,
Yeah.
well, I do you have any other ideas or advice for us on fall prevention, Amy?
If you wanted more education, there's a couple of resources I know Rachel sent you, but there's also a really great program if you or your care partner is starting to become afraid of falls or fearful to go out. There's a program called A Matter of Balance, and you can take it all over the city. If you have questions on when there is a class, you can always reach out to me or Rachel, and we can get you into one of those classes. They're offered both in person and online. And they kind of work through those fears. They talk about home modifications and things that you can do to stay safe. Most people that come out of those programs feel a lot safer, a lot more secure, more confident in making those home modifications.
That is a great idea. I didn't have that on my list. So I'll make sure to add it. Thank you for sharing that with us. So I think that's all we had for you guys today. I guess I would just leave you with one quick call to action, and that is to look around the house today and just remove one tripping hazard. I think it's a small step, like Amy said, starting small that can make a big difference. I'd like to remind you that you don't have to do this alone. There are checklists and resources and professionals that could support you. And we'll make sure and share links and resources that you can download after today's session. Thank you all for joining us today. And if you're watching the replay, thank you as well. Thanks to Amy for chatting with me and taking time out of your busy director day to share your expertise with us. And we hope you all could join us next month for Medicare 101 on October 10th at noon, just in time for open enrollment. And thanks again to AARP Kids City for sponsoring this series. Have a great day, everyone, and take care.